Circumcision. That's the hook. That's it. Welcome back to the pod, everybody. I'm Mike Dreyden Figueroa, and this is Unscripted and Unrehearsed, where I give you my take on things that I've seen, experienced, heard. Why am I looking at the calendar? I think I just want to be on point because every time I start these things, I try to stick to the script and then I get sidetracked and then I brain fart. Listen, I've thought about this for a while now. It's always been on my mind all my life since I discovered what circumcision is. And it's probably one of the craziest things I've ever heard about. I mean, it's crazy to me. There are many reasons for doing it. There are some legitimate, cultural and religious reasons. There are some legitimate health reasons for it. But I don't know. I just, I think it's weird. And honestly, I looked for funny videos around circumcision to open this with, but all of them are very gloom and doom, and there's actual videos of it happening, and I'm like, this is not funny. This is just horrible. But anyways, I want to talk about it. But first, thank you everybody for all the birthday wishes. I was inundated and overwhelmed with the love and joy. Thank you, my Pisces brethren. Yeah, I spent the day, it was rainy mostly. So in between downpours, I took Max out. I napped a lot because now I'm 57 and naps are a beautiful thing when you can get them. Yeah, I napped a lot. I binged some TV shows. You know which one I watched. I'm catching up still on some Starfleet Academy, which I'm giving a second chance to because of Paul Giamatti. He's amazing. He's just amazing. So yeah, that's how I spent my birthday. And I don't know. It just always feels like it comes. I remember as a kid, the lead up to birthday was huge. It seemed so far away. And then when it came, it was a long, full day of stuff and things and to do. And then, when finally it felt like I've expended energy. Now it's like, poof, here it is, poof, it's gone. I'm like, fuck. I don't know. But anyway, thank you, everybody. I appreciate all the well wishes, and to my fellow March 16ers out there, hope you guys had a great day too. There used to be a Facebook page that I was a part of for March 16 birthdays, and then it just seemed to have disappeared from Facebook, so that's all right. Listen, bad news. I'm a huge fan of iPic. I'm not sure if you guys know about iPic, but it's basically dinner and a movie kind of situation. It's a movie theater that you get like a pod or for two, or you share it with someone that you don't know, or individual pods. And you make a reservation. You get a menu, you order dinner, and the food is fucking amazing, and drinks, and then the movie starts, and you get a dedicated server. Like there's maybe it's set up like a movie theater, but more on an angle. And I like to choose the last pod because you're looking over everybody's head. Feels like the screen is like right there just for you. And yeah, that whole section gets a dedicated server, and you press a button on the little table, and they come and they take your order and all that. And I've never had a bad experience with them, but apparently they're closing down a bunch of locations around the country. Atlanta is closing, LA, the one in Fort Lee, New Jersey, just over the bridge over here by me, and a few others. And I'm like, at first. Listen, it's pricey. It's not cheap because the food is top level. The drinks are all top shelf. It's an event. It's a thing. And the only time I have gone was for really big deal movies, mostly superhero movies. I saw the Aquaman. Was it the second one or the first one? I think it was the first one. No, it was the second one. Um, there we went to see the Marvels there. I personally liked it. I know it bombed, but I personally liked it. And what else did we see there? A couple others, but it's for the big deal movies. Like I'm planning on going to, and I go to the one in South Street Seaport. I like that one, and it's easier to get to for me. I'm going there for the Doomsday movie. Absolutely, no doubt about it. I'm going. Um, so yeah, they're closing a bunch of places around the country. This is the second time they've filed for Chapter 11, which is not a good sign. And I think the business model is hard to keep up with because, it's the price point, I think. My only real critique of the whole experience is the movie starts, the lights go down, they bring you your food, and you can't see because it's dark. You can't see what you're eating, and you're navigating the light from the movie so you can like pick at your food or what have you. I think that if they had like green lights, like when I'm at work, I use a green light flashlight, which is not too bright that you see it from the stage and it's distracting for the performers, but it's bright enough that you can actually see where you're going. So I think if they had those around the table maybe or on the sides of the pod that generate a little bit of light for you, because no one is looking back at you, so they wouldn't be disturbed by a light. But I think that if we could see that, it would be a lot better. Um, they have these incredible cup holders on the sides where you could put your drink, so that's good. And they bring you large plates, of stuff, and it takes up all. And it's an oval. It's about the size of a 16-inch laptop, maybe a little bit wider, but in an oval shape. And there's not a lot of room for everything and they bring it all at once. So just to mitigate any disturbance and all of that. But it's tough. Then while you're eating, you're missing the movie because you're. That's my only real critique. But other than that, I just love the experience. The chairs go back. You get a blanket. And you get to keep the blanket. It's fun. But yeah, that's if you're a member, and I just renewed my membership. Excuse me. Um, and it's fun. I like doing it. I like going there. It's pretty cool. In other entertainment news, I'm sure if you haven't heard this, the Live Nation scandal that's going on. This is why I don't go to concerts and I don't spend my money to do that stuff as much as I would love to. Um, I don't like crowds like that, but if it's for a band, like for instance, I wanted to go see the Depeche Mode concert. Uh, Money and timing were not in my favor because of work. And I just didn't want to spend all the fees when I was looking at the checkout and all of that. I'm like, this is look. I understand people want to make money, but these go-betweens are just fun. Anyway, the Live Nation scandal was revealed in the court filings, and I'm going to read this off my phone here. And there will be a link in the description below for the internal stack messages, where executives were calling concert goers so in quotes so stupid. They were charging $250 for VIP parking. Referred to them as robbing them blind, baby. Um, yeah, this is why people get mad. This is why people stop going and spending their money. This is why people have gone and rerouted their finances to everything virtual, like buying it on, a package so they can watch the sports games at home or see a concert at home. And it's the concert going experience. I've been to a few. My mom took us when we were kids. We were very young. It was Madison Square Garden. She took us to a Bob Marley concert, and the Commodores were opening for Bob Marley. It was the most incredible experience I ever had in my life. The entire arena smelled like weed. I think I was eight years old. Me and my sister loves Bob Marley. She passed out from all the weed smoking. I was jumping up and down in my seat because it was incredible. Yeah, that's like the only last concert, first and last. No, I've been to others. Stuff like that, you know? So back then, I'm sure it was a pretty penny, but my stepdad, my mom, me, and my sister. But now you go to you try to do these events, and you're out of pocket like 10 times more than you thought. There's a service fee, and then this fee, and then that fee, now the parking fee. I'm like, so I really don't know what's going to happen with Live Nation. I think I really should have looked for the I don't think there's a verdict in this situation though. In their filing, what happened in court. Maybe I missed it. Anywho, I thought y'all should know. Don't save your money for now until you know things are figured out. Because I mean, charging $250 for parking, VIP parking, and then calling people stupid. I mean, I know when I want to feel my oats, you know, I'll go to, you know, when I would go to like an Alegria party or a black party or all these way, I would get VIP only because not many people would get VIP, and when you got up there, there would be free beverages and fruits, you know, for if you know, you know. And then you could chill out for a few minutes, you know, to get away from the crowds and the dancing and, you know, maybe hook up, whatever, you know, but it was worth it. This doesn't seem like anything was worth it. So yeah, check out the link to the messages. I'm sure it'll make for great reading. Oh, this also came across. Now, the Doge Bros got their asses handed to them, and they were grilled for filth. Let me tell you. The videos came out, and it's pure gold. Just watching them squirm and try to. One is 21, the other one is 23. Now I know when I was that age, I thought I knew everything, you know, but I was a smarty pants to begin with. So when I did act like I knew everything, it's because I did what I need to do, so I know what I'm talking about, right? Okay. These kids were put into this fucking positions. None of them knew what they were. When you to cancel out all of the contracts and the grants and et cetera and fire people, they used ChatGPT and they put in how does this contract relate to DEI, blah, 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 LGBTQ, blah, 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 blah. And it would spit out back information, and they was like, okay, delete this contract. And then they would go and the havoc this has caused. Now, I know this is not new news, but for those of you who don't know, and I'm telling you for the first time, people have lost their livelihoods. People have lost their tenure, meaning years and years of knowledge and experience of them collectively, hundreds of years of knowledge collectively in how this country runs, how our finances run, how we invest in infrastructure as far as services and people and all of that around the world and home. Because, you know, if you're helping out your neighbor's lawn, you know, whatever they got going on may not affect your lawn. Or if you know, I'm trying to be metaphorically relevant here. I don't know, but let me just be clear. If you don't know what the fuck you're doing and you have a mandate to do whatever the fuck you want, it's too dangerous. It is dangerous. So basically, they couldn't answer basic questions on what DEI is. And the one you'll see in the video, I'm gonna link it here. That one kid was like, "Oh, we just referred back to what we were told it meant." But do you understand? Do you have an understanding as you sit here now talking to us, an understanding of what DEI is? Oh yes, absolutely. Can you tell us? Well, I just refer back to that. Somehow, okay, I'm going to somehow, at the end of this, have the videos play for you. And then you can just watch. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. So here's Mr. I can't tell you what DEI is. And here's Mr. I read a book, but there was no book to read. Good going, boys. So what's really been telling is they have no educational understanding of government. They're completely uneducated in government. I mean, I remember, I just see, this is hard for me, because when I went to high school, I always thought that everything we were learning, it was universal. So when you had and it was required, you had to take a civics class. You had to take all these social study classes to graduate. So you understood how the world and the country work. Are they not teaching this now anymore? I just recently found out they're not teaching cursive in school. And it's been years now. And I'm like, what? How are you not teaching people cursive? I mean, oh, it just dawned on me. So if you can't read cursive, that means you can't read the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights, because it's all in cursive. And if you don't understand what your rights are, so they could take them from you, and you're like, oh, is that a real thing? Parents, if you know parents, teach your kids cursive. Jesus Christ. Okay. So the judge involved in the case uh, was they would complain to the judge that these kids were getting doxxed and all their info was getting out there. And I'm like, look, if you're gonna fuck around, this is how you find out. What did you think? That you're gonna be protected? It baffles me that people just believe they're gonna have their backs and they don't. And then when they get thrown under the bus and run over, they're confused. The judge was trying to scrub the videos from the internet. It's not gonna happen. It's out there forever. These are who these kids are. These are the men of the future who, if they're not checked now, will cause even more damage. You can see the disgust and the disdain in their faces as they're being interviewed. It's crazy. Okay, so that's that. Oh, if you're interested in good news, there's a bunch of people that I follow. They give you the real deal. They show the real shit, and you got to be strong and fortified. So this way you don't carry that with you a lot. And I try not to watch too much of it. But Kevin Ortega Rojas, he's a Latino Puerto Rican, I think Puerto Rican, reporter, independent reporter like Parnas and the Midas Touch guys. But he doesn't have the finances and the what do you call that? The revenue like these guys do. And he reports on everything from, new politics to social issues. There's a lot of I don't want to box him into just like a Latino thing, but it's like he's a Latino voice in the world telling the real shit, and I think you guys should support him. I don't know him personally, but I came across him like I came across Parnas and the other guys, and I like his delivery. It's called Hear Why Kevin on IG and Substack. If you subscribe to his Substack, he can make some money. He's a single dad, and he busts his ass to bring the real deal. And the last thing I'm going to talk about that really got to me was I watched the Oscars. I was so happy for Michael B. Jordan and everybody. Um, it was just like his acceptance speech really hit me in the feels because he was like, "Yo, mama, what's up?" And I remember watching him on the Wire and coming up there was a twinge of like, what the fuck did I do with most of my life that I didn't like really go for it? And I can't really compare it because, my life growing up, there were a lot of hurdles that I had to deal with that didn't allow me to have the support that he probably had, and many people do. But I'm doing the thing my way, and my path is my path, not his. But watching him and seeing how he has grown from his younger self to the man he is today is really cool. I think the best part about it is he went to In-N-Out Burger with his Oscar, bought food for everybody because apparently he applied for a job at In-N-Out Burger, and they're like, "I'm sorry, you're just not for us." It's like, oh, okay. So he went and he bought In-N-Out Burger. It did cause quite a scene. Here's a picture right here of that whole experience. I'm like, how would I would, fuck yeah, I would celebrate In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out Burger is the shit, man. I went to the one in LA when I got off the plane once. I was so hungry. We passed Randy's Donuts. I'm like, no, I want In-N-Out Burger. So we went straight to the In-N-Out Burger. It's not that far from the airport. And I chowed down, and that was the best. Yeah, shout out to him. There was a lot of the in memoriam forgot some people. I believe that James Vanderbeek they forgot. Oh shoot, what is his name? Malcolm Jamal Warner, and one other person. I forgot. Anyway, they forgot people were a little perturbed. As I was watching, I didn't realize until after the fact. I'm like, oh damn, that's fucked up. But yeah. With that said, we remember. All right, so how old is circumcision? you'll be surprised to learn that the earliest depiction of recorded circumcision is in ancient Egypt, which, of course, is the cradle of humanity and history and all of that. So, of course, the Egyptians would be the first ones doing it. It was apparently integral to Egyptian culture. It was performed as a rite of passage into adulthood. And it's immortalized in art by a bas relief, um, sixth dynasty it's dated 2345 to 2181 BCE, and it depicts the circumcision scene. Take a look at it right there. And it's currently housed at the Louvre. Now, I'm like, they were doing that, like, why was that we're all born with this, and it's there for a reason, right? Because, the head of the penis is a gland, and it needs to be covered and protected. Now, I understand back then they didn't have the modern cleaning tools and supplies that we have now in the 21st century, where, having a foreskin is a lot better to maintain, when you wash, right? I guess normal washing, I guess you could have had a normal washing back then too, but like, why remove that? Why do that as a rite of passage into adulthood? It's like, and back then they had no anesthesia. Now they can do it, and I'll get to that. But I'm like, why remove that? What else could we have done? And I'm thinking about it all week. What else could we have done to be as a rite of passage into adulthood for men? Like, God knows what they did to the women. It's like, yeah. So I don't want to sound stupid here, but I'm like, I have a visceral thing when it comes to that. And aside from culture and medical, my own experience, I'm going to talk about that later. My own experience, what's that? I need to blow my nose, so bear with me. It's going to be gross. Between allergies and the weather going bananas, I'm draining and nasally and stuffed up. Pardon me. Coffee today is this organic coffee that I had to buy because that's all they had left at the deli. $15 bag. God. Anyway, so yeah, like the ancient Egyptians are the starters of circumcision as a rite of passage. I hate it. I just don't like it. All right, so culturally, what is the meaning? So the meaning for Jews, we'll start here. So the meaning for Jews, the significance is the Jewish circumcision, or a Brit Milah, covenant of circumcision. That's the translation. It signifies entry into the covenant between God and Abraham, symbolizing a commitment to live by God's laws. Okay. The timing when they do it. Now, well, what are God's laws? So you could, again, you're removing a piece of the body. Why that one thing is your dedication to doing it. And I'm wondering if there was a sense of pride in it too, because I mean, how I have so many questions that I can't answer, but this is what I learned. So I'm not even going to try to answer it for myself, because I think that's where I'm getting stressed out. So yeah, for Jews, it's a symbolization for their commitment, the commitment of between God and Abraham to follow God's laws. Okay, the timing of it all, it's a foundational religious ritual, and it's performed on Jewish baby boys on their 8th day of life. Even if it happens like on a Shabbat, like Friday, or Yom Kippur, which is the high holy day. Even if it happens, that has to happen. So the way it's done, it's performed by a trained expert. This person's called a moil. And the moil removes the foreskin. in traditional practice, performs the priya, tearing of the membrane, and drawing blood, which is the metziza. Um, if you have never been to a bris, I've been to a bris, and people were so happy, and I was just sitting there miserable. I just did not enjoy it at all. And if you've ever seen it, you can see there's plenty of videos on Facebook, YouTube, where they show young babies having it done, young boys, older men, or men who are older. It's There's one video I found. This kid was playing video games. I laid back, and they were performing. I guess he was anesthetized locally for it, but he was just playing video games and just totally unaware what was going on. No pain at all. Back then, not so much. As a baby, you don't remember that. So the naming, which comes out after as this is happening, the baby officially gets his Hebrew name during the ceremony. And then a celebration happens. It's followed by a festive meal known as the Sadat. A very festive meal. We just chopped the dick. Festive meal, the Sazat Mitzvah. So there's a lot of celebration around it, and I get that, especially in Jewish culture. And I think what's happening for me right now, talking about this, is I'm having that reaction how I did when I first found out about my circumcision. And when my mother told me, I mean, I want to talk about that's going to be later. You're going to have to come back later because that's going to be in the bonus section. But it was traumatic, and I don't want to jump ahead because that's what's happening to me right now. So while it's a central tradition for many, particularly within liberal and secular movement, it's a little bit different. So they may opt for a non-surgical covenant, which I don't know what that means, because if it's not removed, then how do you have the covenant? Or they just have a hospital circumcision. They do it at the hospital, which happened in my case when I was born. Now for non-Jews, I mean, there's the medical and hygiene. Back then, of course, keeping clean was not, maybe a little bit more difficult. I mean, of course, there was the whole keeping dairy and meat separate, and all these rules around food is like back then there was no refrigeration. So of course they had to do things to keep food longer, and they had to process and all of that, so you wouldn't get sick and die of poisoning, whatever. So it's the same deal for hygiene. There wasn't always running water. There wasn't always ways to keep clean. So you could get infections and stuff like that. So I think that's part of the reason why it happened, or became, to avoid it from going further. Let me rephrase. To avoid infections from happening and going further. That's what I guess they said, let's do that, right? I'm hypothesizing here, folks, because I really don't know. I wasn't there. And of course, if you're a professional in this area, I'd love to hear what you think about it. So in the United States, particularly, it's frequently performed shortly after birth as a routine health decision. Because, again, I don't know if people realize this, but like in the beginnings of like the development of the country, especially New York, people didn't have bathrooms. Some houses later on were built, the tub was in the kitchen and the toilet was in the room in the back of the house. I have a friend who lives in an apartment just like that. People went to public baths to bathe and all of that. I was to say shave and all, and you did that once a week. That's all they only bathed once a week. Can you imagine what that smelled like? Cultural traditions, it's common among many cultures globally, including the Aboriginal Australians, various Pacific Islanders, and many ethnic groups in the sub-Saharan Africa, often functioning as a rite of passage into manhood. And for Muslims, in this Islamic practice, circumcision is considered a strong sunnah, I believe, is a prophetic tradition and obligatory necessity. in many schools of thought. So I believe for Muslims, it's done when they're eight, in their eighth year of life, something like that. The Christian viewpoint, it's physical circumcision is generally seen as having no spiritual or salvific, salvific, that's the word, value, no value there. With many viewing it as a necessity, focusing instead on circumcision of the heart. That makes no sense to me, but that's what I found. And cultural identity too. It serves as a sign of, conformity to prevailing social norms in many religions, similar to, body modification. Some people like, oh, I think I just want to remove it. I had a friend also who had a situation where he had to have it removed. James Norton, many of you know, he was a huge adult performer friend of mine. He's a twin. He had to have his removed because I think he got something happened. Either there was an infection or he was having an issue with it. But yeah, it was massive, and it was massive and uncut, and then he had to get it cut. But I think he was very disappointed and upset about that. Yeah. So is it necessary in the 21st century? I think that as long as we have these continued observances and practices, it's going to continue no matter what. There will be times where a young boy or young man or an older person will have an infection or a situation where it has to be removed. But yeah, I think as long as humans are following these traditions, we're going to always have circumcision. I remember there was a time in the news where female circumcision was happening in Africa, and I don't want to get this wrong, but I know that it was usually against their will, obviously, and it was a big deal. I don't know if I'm sure it's still happening, but it was not kind of a rite of passage. It was more of a rite of control on women, which broke my heart because the video that they showed on the news regarding that, and it was a documentary I saw. It was harrowing. It was horrible. Basically, they removed their clitori. Yeah, so if you understand science, that grows into a penis if you become a boy in the gestation period. If you get the chromosome. Can you imagine? Anyway, I don't think this is the funnest episode I'm dropping here, guys, but I wanted to talk about it. I don't feel like I think what's happening for me too, aside from having this reaction to how I know about mine, is that it's a tough subject to talk about without sounding judgmental. Because personally, I wish I still had mine. I really do. Yeah. Listen, I guess we can cut it short here. Now you tell me, are you cut or uncut? I'd like to know. You can just write the words cut or uncut in the comments below. I mean, if you are cut, would you want to have your foreskin back? Have you considered getting it back? Have you looked into that? If you're uncut, would you want to be cut? Do you detest or hate your foreskin so much that you're like, but you're afraid to get it done or you don't know what will happen? Either way, I want to know. What do you think about circumcision? If you don't give a shit, that's fine too. Just say I don't give a shit, Mike. No judgments. But yeah, I would definitely want to have mine back. From what I understand, well, from what I understand, it feels different. Obviously. Oh my God, this is all wrong. This is all wrong. I'm so Captain Obvious with everything I'm saying, but because we're men, and for those of you who are men or male identifying, who have a penis, a lot of this is like known. What's happening? All right, so listen, if you made it this far, thank you. I appreciate it. Drop an eggplant emoji in the comments for me. It would be fun. Why the hell not? If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Like and subscribe and do all the things. If you're listening, 5 stars would be great. I would appreciate it. Yeah, it's been growing and people are catching on, and that's all because of you. So, every time you log in, give me a 5 stars rating. I'd love that. And hey, head over to Patreons, because I'm going to talk about my circumcision, and you don't want to miss that. And I'm going to let loose on that side. And just as a reminder, I'm trying to keep this ad free for now as much as I can. So support the Patreon, subscribe to the Buzzsprout version of this, share with all your friends, and thank you. I appreciate it. There's a lot coming, and I'm trying to get it done, but I'm just one guy here in a little bedroom trying to figure it all out. No excuses, but there's stuff coming, so come on over. Bring your foreskin. All right, I'm out of here. Bye.